Welcome. This is a short video explanation of the final project for college seminar, the portfolio reflection presentation. So there's a lot of words, a lot of syllables going on there, but overall it's a pretty simple concept. So the first thing I want to do is just open up the document and take a look at that. And so the good news about this assignment is you don't really have to do any new work. You're kind of reflecting on everything you've already done. And the point is kind of to emphasize the main points of the course and to reflect on which lessons kind of were most helpful for you and what kind of things you're going to really want to remember moving forward. Because, with every class you take, there's a lot of information, and you're realistically not going to remember all of it. But you obviously do need to really take away the key concepts. And I think that's true for this class in particular, because for different people, different lessons might have been more useful than others. But all the lessons are, things that you'll need to know to be successful in college. So anyway, what is the assignment? The format. So it's a 5-minute presentation with some kind of slides, and by slides I mean PowerPoint, Google Slides, Prezi, any other kind of slide software is fine, and you'll submit it as a video. And so in a separate video, I'm going to explain one way to make a video. I'm also open to the idea of you submitting a script, which would have to be at least 2 pages, double spaced, and slides separately. If you want to submit those 2 things, if making a video seems to be too daunting a task, I know different people have different levels of comfort with technology. So you can have those 2 options. It's either a 5-minute video or a 2-page script with slides to go along with it. And so, this assignment, the purpose of the assignment, like I just said, the first thing is just a reflection on the course, a recap of the main points of each lesson. So the other part is the format you're doing. It's also we're practicing giving presentations. And so in college, you'll almost certainly be giving some kind of presentations, group presentations, individual presentations, participating in class discussions, whatever it might be. So this gives you an opportunity to do that, and also to get to know PowerPoint, Google Slides, slide software. I know different people come in with different backgrounds on those. It's not incredibly difficult to use, but it's always good to get practice. Everybody can always get better at their presentation skills, and there are a lot of common mistakes that people make with it, and I'm going to talk about some of those things, and we'll cover some of those things in this final week. Okay, and so the assignment, I have a series of questions. Basically, every question just prompts you to reflect on the main ideas from one of our units. And I want you to kind of come up with an answer that just briefly encapsulates what the key takeaways from that unit were. So your answer there, you'll see there are a lot of questions here. And so there's a reason why that is. I don't want you to go into great detail with each one of these. I want you to really focus in on the main ideas, the key takeaways, in such a way that, you'll walk away from the class remembering these things. Because like I said, all the lessons from this course, they really are critical bits of information for you to be successful in college. And so it's important that you don't just forget everything as you walk out the door. It's important that you remember some of these things. And that's especially true when it comes to the lessons that were most useful for you, So I know people come from very different backgrounds. A lot of you, many of these lessons, frankly, there were things you already knew, right? But I can tell you this from reviewing your work all semester long, everybody, there are at least 3 or 4, units where everybody got something new out of it. And so the first question here, it says, what's the most important lesson you learned in this course? Was something particularly eye-opening? What's one thing you learned that will help you succeed in college and beyond? And so that's the first one. That's the first thing I want you to cover, because I think everybody should have something to say about that. And that's kind of the key thing you'll walk away from the course remembering. And I know everybody has at least one thing. And then every other question, I'm not going to read these because you can read, but each one just goes through every unit and it just asks you kind of the main, it asks you about the main ideas from that unit. And like I said, these don't need to be exhaustive answers. A 5-page presentation or a 5-minute presentation is basically 2 pages, double-spaced, script that you would read. It takes roughly 2 minutes to read 1 double-spaced page. So we're talking about 2.5 pages, double-spaced. Doesn't need to be more than that. And so each question you'll answer pretty briefly, and just focus in on the main ideas. So that's pretty much it. The rubric just says, did you answer all the questions? And then the other part is, how much effort did you put into your slides? And that's the other part I want to talk about a little bit. I'm going to make another video, have some other resources for you to talk a little bit more about presentations. But I can mention the most important things here. And so the key takeaways about the assignment. So like I just said, reflect on which lessons were most helpful for you. Focus on key ideas you'll want to remember. With the presentation, emphasize clarity. The point of presentations is to communicate information clearly, and so sometimes we lose that. We get lost in all our notes and all our slides. Think about communicating to your audience and always come back to that. And these last two on the bottom here are really important. And again, some for other resources I'll make available to you. We're going to go in a little bit more detail. But slides and notes are two different things. So the biggest mistake people make when giving presentations is they think of their slides, the PowerPoint, they think of it as their notes. And then they type all their notes into the slides. And then they stand up in front of the room and they read their slides. And it's the most boring thing on the face of the earth. And because it's so boring, you hardly communicate anything. So that's not a very thoughtful way to do it. And so you've got to think of the slides and the notes. They're two different things. They work together. And that leads to the final point. Use your slides smartly. So the slides are not where you type in your notes. Your slides are there to emphasize what you're saying in your notes. And so you kind of begin with your notes that has all the information you want to talk about, and then you create your slides, and your slides are there to emphasize your main points, to make them more clear. And so the reason why this is so important, if you've ever seen a presentation where somebody typed all their notes into a slide, and there's so much up there, you can't read it all, it might be too small to read, and then they're talking over it the whole time. And so when it's kind of information overload, when you have that information overload in a presentation, the audience gets nothing out of it, basically. And so I want you to, be more intelligent about it than that. Don't make the biggest blunder that people make with presentations. Your script, what you're going to say, is a different thing from your slides. Do the script first, then make the slides to emphasize your main points. So I really like to see you do that. I really don't want you to do the whole thing called death by PowerPoint, where you type all your notes into the slides and just read the slides verbatim. It's a really brutal way to do a presentation. I'm sure you've all seen presentations done that way. But that's pretty much it. I'm going to leave it there. Obviously, reach out if you have any questions or concerns about it.